Right, it's a slightly lighter tone, but also probably got as many column inches and social media comment. Scotch eggs. Now, whose idea was that?
Oh, thanks, Simon. Yeah. Let's be honest, we've got a lot wrong on our journey. Of course we have. And hopefully, one thing we do is listen to people and we'll change things. We got that right and wrong. Great to have James Martin cooking at Royal Ascot for our audience on an entertainment channel. Keep thinking of our audience. You've always got to think. And I talked about tone in our first part. Again, part of my training is know your audience. And my audience is very different in midweek ITV4 day to it is on a main channel Saturday. Lots of sports fans, families watching. Again, very different on a Royal Ascot day where you've got over 1 million people watching on a weekday. You can see the dynamic of the kind of people we've got watching. So to have James Martin on racing on ITV was fantastic. We got it slightly wrong because it probably went on a little bit too long. But it was meant to be a bit of fun. Richard Hoyles, who's mad about Scotch eggs, show you how you make it. And if it had been 30 seconds, I don't think anyone would have thought about it. It was a minute, probably too long. Didn't miss anything. But oh yeah, everyone went mad. I just laughed. I thought it was funny, and we had some fun with it because we kept leaving Scotch eggs lying about the place. You've got to laugh. We did make a bit of a mistake. But again, 1.5 minutes in 24.5 hours of coverage, I didn't feel like it was the end of the world. And relatively at that time, there were some awful things going on in the world, and a little feature about a Scotch egg didn't really feel too important. But for some people, it felt like the world had ended, which I found very amusing.
You say it was a mistake, but I mean, I don't know who said it, but the famous saying is the worst thing than people talking about is people not talking about you. Everybody was talking about the Scotch eggs.
No publicity, bad publicity.
I don't know if it was a bad thing or not, really, but it was something that everybody still remembers. I mean,
we hold our hands up. It probably went on a bit too long, but it was just meant. It was meant as a bit of fun on an entertainment show. So, but listen,
And how were they?
Again, other people, are very passionate about what they want to see. I'm fully aware we can't please everybody. My mum absolutely loved it. Someone who wanted to see more of the horses being saddled absolutely hated it, and you've just got to roll with it.
Well, you mentioned your mum, so I can mention mine. My mum's not a big racing fan, but she loves watching Royal Ascot.
What's your mum's name?
Gwen.
I hope Gwen's going to be watching this. Hello, Gwen.
She always does. And she loves the fashion.
Yeah.
So, I know we've already talked about the fashion thing, but you go racing, people love to dress up for it, don't they? It's a part of the day out. I mean, I like wearing flamboyant clother when I go racing just because it's all part of the fun. And, you see the ladies and the chaps all, whether they got...
And listen, just to touch on that is all part of a race day. What we try and do is bring that race day to people at home. The fun, the colour, the noise, and that's all part of it. And again, I keep saying it, we're showing horse racing on an entertainment channel. For ITV, that's a big thing. And I sometimes say to these people when I get really annoyed, which isn't very often because I think I'm quite relaxed about these things, have a look at our viewing numbers. We're judged by our viewing numbers. Why have they gone up? Why have we been able to attract that broader church of people watching racing? And I personally think all that kind of stuff and all the different things we do, part of that.
And once again, this is going back to the hardcore of the hardcore, too much dumbing down. Why do you have to explain this? Why do you have to explain that? But, do you think there is too much dumbing down, or do people like to be educated about things they don't know about?
Again, we don't do it that often, but it's a very important part of what we do. The biggest thing in all of this is, and I've talked about tone before, as the presenter, my attitude is I want people to feel part of it. I want anybody, whatever your background, whatever your age, wherever you're from, to feel part of ITV's coverage. The skill of a presenter, and I've talked about tone, I've talked about knowing your audience, but it's also making people feel welcome, making people feel part of it. I often use phrases like, great to have you with us, thank you for giving up your Friday afternoon to come and join us on ITV Racing, great to have you on board is a phrase I use a lot. I'm not doing that by accident. That's because I want people at home to relax. Most people who watch on a Saturday afternoon have probably had a long week, working really hard, just want to relax on a Saturday afternoon and be entertained. And I want them to feel welcome, feel part of it. And that warmth and hopefully, again, is all part of what I'm trying to do on ITV Racing and try and get people to relax and enjoy it. But I want to do that in a fashion. I don't want anyone noticing me. One thing I don't want ever is any attention. I want to be the quarterback throwing the ball around in racing. I don't have the knowledge of these people. My job is to get the best out of them. I don't want to have that knowledge. That's not my job. I want to go unnoticed, like a referee in a Premier League football match. I want to go unnoticed and produce, hopefully, decent television and get the best out of other people.
Now, there was a reason that I started asking about your early career in betting.
Yeah.
Because betting is a hot topic really at the moment. It funds racing.
Yep.
So if people didn't bet, racing would be in serious trouble.
Yep.
But also in recent times, it's become a little bit. It's been a part of British culture for years, centuries.
Yep.
But now it's almost the powers there that are trying to make it seem a little bit of a dirty thing. And obviously, responsible gambling. That needs to be a lesson that people need to know. Because I know from my youth, I used to lose my wages every Friday afternoon in the betting shop. But do you think that punters should be educated in subtle ways? So, for example, when the prices go up on the screen, you put the percentages next to them, so that without even realising they're learning the percentages,
yes, I like
and they
that.
can also see the percentage that the whole race is.
Yeah.
So so they can see what they're up against before they decide having a bet. Look, this is 33% against me here. And also that the bookmakers are kept in check a bit, because now they return their own prices. Nobody really knows how they do it because the bookmakers on course. Do you think that educating the punters about gambling
it's a good idea.
is part of responsible gambling?
I think absolutely. I'm always someone who's keen on being proactive like that rather than reactive. In a similar situation, going back to when we first started, I quickly realised welfare was going to be a huge thing. My fourth show was when we lost many clouds, and I was so pleased that we were proactive with it. We got a vet on board to explain things, and the betting's the same. If you explain and are proactive about it, you put yourself in a much better position. I think there probably is things we might be able to explain better. We do master classes, we do jargon busters, we all do all these kind of stuffs, and we talked about it. That to me is not dumbing down in any shape or form. It's just making people feel part of it and understand more. And the percentage is something, obviously that was my world when I was an odds compiler. It's something, it's not easy to explain, but it's something we could do and maybe should do, yeah. And that's our challenge with betting, is always the side of it you've talked about there. But also, what's the future? Where are we going? How can we do that on television and explain it better and cover it better? It's a real challenge at the moment, because I'm not sure, if I'm honest, what the answer is, because we've come back after COVID, and we've still got Matt, obviously, in the betting ring, which I still think is relevant. I still love it, and it's still lively and so on and so forth. But betting is changing so quickly as well. Maybe we do need to reflect what's going on off the course better than that. And it's something we're thinking about. It's honestly something we're thinking about all the time. And I'm fully aware of how important betting is as part of our product and as part of the industry. Absolutely right.
Now, you talk about Matt in the betting ring. I mean, for me, he's the ideal personality to be in there. He's that sparky sort of over-the-top character sometimes that... it's one of my personal things. The betting ring is a huge part of the unique fabric of British racing.
Yeah.
And now they've been dealt a massive blow that they've been deemed irrelevant when it comes to returning the prices as far as betting being settled. Do you think that racing owes those bookmakers they need to be preserved, even if it's artificially, with more publicity or more sort of help from the race courses? Because if there's no
can you imagine
bookmakers
British
on
racing
course,
without?
No, I can't. But I don't think the racecourses think of that.
Yeah.
I think the racecourses can quite imagine it without bookmakers, and I'm not sure whether it comes across enough. There's not, I know you can't do enough.
It's something we've tried to do. We've tried to support. Obviously, when they weren't there, we were keen to support, and that's why we did that feature. Do you remember, Reliant on Racing? And bookmakers played a part in that. And a couple of them actually did little features for it, which we were very appreciative of. So, very important to support then and support now, which is you can see what we're trying to do. But yeah, maybe that dialogue between racecourses needs to happen more. And that's where you can step in.
That's what I do try.
This is your area.
It's my
good for you.
It's my sort of passion. But
yeah,
so
I love that. That's all part of my love of racing. That's what got me hooked into it. My grandfather was a punter, lived in Somerset and was a punter, and that's what got me into the sport. That's what I love to think, actually, when I think of that, and the bookmakers, the racetracks, is what hooked me. Hopefully we hooked people in COVID. People will say in 20 years' time, I gave racing a whirl, because the viewing figures in COVID, just as you know, went massively up, understandably so. I just hope people enjoyed what they saw and thought I gave racing a whirl in a thing called COVID in 20 years' time, when people will say, what was that? But that's a bit of a dream for me.
Yeah, because that was what I was getting at when you had to try and bring the colour of racing to the general public, that we're seeing more of it when there was nobody there.
Yeah.
So the whole idea, I would like to think, is that people watch it on the telly and they think, oh, that looks like a lot of fun, I want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is part of our ethos. People sometimes think we're competing, say, against racing TV. We're not at all. We want people to try racing with us, and then maybe they might take out a racing TV subscription. That would be my job. I feel like my job is done there. Maybe they want to come racing. Be great, come racing. Maybe they want to get involved in a syndicate. Maybe they want to get involved. That is very much our ethos on ITV Racing. A lot of people are part of that audience, that broad church we've talked about. We want to introduce to the sport so that they do want to partake more in whatever that area that might be.
Okay, this is the final, second from last, the penultimate question. Let's put you on the spot. If there was something that, if it were totally down to you on the programme, on the way you cover things, is there something that you'd like to see change?
In British racing, or
in just on the programme? I know that's probably been a bit unfair, but I do.
The great thing about we're a team, so we all get our say, and I'll often be outvoted on an issue. I tried when I joined ITV 4 or 5 years ago. Obviously, coming from Premier League football, I tried to really create this team ethic. Everyone has to be with us the night before, and we eat, drink, have production meetings together, blah blah blah. So we all have our say. Well, the one thing I would change as far as the coverage is concerned, crikey, my ethos is trying to have something for everybody on the show. I think the passion for me is the next generation. I'd love to really encourage youngsters to get involved in the sport. That's everything from taking the opportunity, parents bring your kids racing, under 18s come free, but also trying to keep encouraging youngsters to get involved in journalism, to get involved in presenting, which is why I'm doing all these courses and that type of thing. And maybe on the show we could just do a little bit more to just engage with that younger audience possibly. But that's something we are trying to do. So I'll try and do more of it, I think. Because we've always got to look to that. And it is such a cool and great sport that we just need to keep finding those hooks for the youngsters. And that's nice. Why one of the upsides of Twitter and social media is the youngsters, the guys who you can help out. You can answer those questions. You can do these interviews for them and that type of thing.
Excellent.
And we'll continue to try and engage.
Okay, and finally, racing got you from football. Has racing got you for the foreseeable future?
Who knows, this unpredictable world. Listen, I've loved my time in both. I was very lucky to do that job in football, and I loved it. I get asked, honestly, Simon, every day someone will ask me, why did I leave the Premier League? If I'm in Tesco's or anywhere like that, I mean, at every aisle I'll be asked, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I get recognised far more for my time in football still, even though that was 5-6 years ago, than I do from the job in racing. I'm blissfully happy doing what I'm doing. Hopefully, touch wood, it's going well. We need to keep increasing that audience, obviously. You can never say never, but at the moment I'm absolutely loving the ITV family. I'm loving being involved in this great sport. I'm loving the challenge of trying to grow it all the time. So I've got no desire to go back whatsoever, but in television, in life, you never know what's around the corner.
Well, great stuff for Ed Chamberlin. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for giving up your time before a busy day. And
thank you, pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.